It's hard to say. I mean, the territory where we're in the world where we're probably known the least is the UK. So it's weird for us to go, you know, from the US and just the size venues in Asia and Europe, and then come here. And our last album basically didn't come out here. So I think a lot of the UK still knows us as from Stop and Stare and Apologize, which to us is kind of almost comical, because what we've done since then is pretty varied. So the transition from the second album, for those who actually knew it, it's just completely, I mean, the album essentially is Carpe Diem. I mean, it's about, that's really the phrase, I think, is what it is Carpe Diem. Seize the day, seize the life. You live one life, you could die tomorrow, you could get cancer, you could get pregnant, you could get married. I mean, so every day has to just be like now, let's go, let's do this. And the album, that's really what it's about. I had enough people ask me why I didn't do that, I guess, on albums, on records. People kind of knew me as a front man of just kind of singing. You know, the stuff worked on radio and it was more of straight rock. I was almost embarrassed of that side of my singing because, you know, back when we started the band, that wasn't cool. We didn't think that was cool. We were like, no, that's not cool. Like, you know, our favorite bands were, or at least my personal favorite bands were Doves, you know, Elbow, Peter Gabriel, U2, you know, and none of those guys sang the way I knew how to sing, but then again, they didn't grow up the way I grew up in, you know, in the South, going to church 3 times a week. So that's where the gospel came from. It's just from the way I've always been able to sing like that. I just never had actually done it on a record. Counting Stars is probably one of my favorite songs on the album. Came up with the idea for it last August. I was in New York and working on somebody else's album, and came up with the idea in the middle of that, and was like, oh my God, I have to keep this. This is for OneRepublic. We had just started working on really focusing on OneRepublic, and I freaked out once I had the idea, and I did 5 versions of that song to get it finished. I spent probably 6 weeks on it to get it like just done, as done as it could be. And it's one of my favorites. Zach gets to, every night in concert, opens up with flamenco. I mean, he's a brilliant flamenco guitarist and grew up in Barcelona playing flamenco guitar. That was actually his first instrument, was flamenco. And so he opens the song with this, you know, flamenco, 1.5 or 2 minutes of him just soloing, and then we go right into it. And I can't explain it. It doesn't sound like, I mean, it's one of those things where you hope maybe once an album, maybe if you're lucky twice an album, and you get something that truly, you can't point at anything else and say, well, I know that song is, this sounds kind of like that. Or I can tell they worked with this producer because they have his sound now. And we have 1 or 2 of those on this album that really don't fit any type of genre or anything. And they're just accidents that we happen to capture, and we didn't lose them. And that's the best songs, I think, are accidents that you kind of, you were there, you know, and you got a snapshot of it and just enough to flesh it out and finish it. And if you hadn't been there, if you'd been doing something else or drinking or sleeping, you might have missed it.
Everything that kills me makes me feel alive.